Hello, I'm Ben Spencer, Head of Programme at St George's, Bristol. You're about to listen to one of our listening room sessions recorded a few months ago in our glass studio. These are informal sessions where artists of all kinds present fresh material and talk a little about their creative process. We hope you enjoy it and look forward to welcoming you back to St George's and future listening room sessions when we reopen.
Good evening, everyone. How you all doing? Great. Welcome to the Listening Rooms, which is a very special programme of events here at St George's in this beautiful studio, all about creative kind of process and music making, a chance to be sort of behind the scenes with an artist. So it's a really, really special event and a chance to be with a phenomenal artist, Emily Magpie, tonight, who I've been listening to her new tracks all through the day today. I got a secret link and they're just incredible. So I'd like you to put your hands together and give her a big, warm St George's welcome. And just before we get going, I thought you'd welcome Emily Magpie and just let you know how the evening is going to pan out. We have a little plan, which we might also throw out the window. That's just how we roll. We're hoping to give you a little break at some point, because maybe somebody would like to have a drink at some point. So at about 10 to 9, we're going to have a little break. And it's going to be an evening of two halves. So the first half, there'll be some questions, and there'll be a moment where we're going to open up to the floor, and we'd love you to have some questions to ask too. And hopefully as we chat, things will be triggered in your mind wanting to ask about process and music making and inspiration. And am I right in thinking the first half is the new material?
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you're going to do first half?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. I might not use, I'm going to shout because I've got quite a loud voice. Yeah, the first half I wanted to share with you guys, really strip back some bits of my new album, which is called Let's Talk About the Weather, which is all about climate change and our connection to each other and nature and ourselves. And I'm really excited because we've started doing it as a band now, but today it's going to be super, super, super stripped back, just sort of ukulele and some keys and just about the songs, I think. Kind of intimate, very intimate feel.
Great. How do you feel about sharing something first and then chatting?
Yeah.
Yeah? Should we do that? Okay. Just to know that I'll be doing a little dance between each number. Jumping.
Or in the background even, you could be.
Jumping over this without flipping over.
Cool, so I'm going to start with, this one's called All Is Silence. And it's actually out next Friday. And it's about love and a possible incoming apocalypse. 1, 2. And the earth is spinning more slowly on its axis, but I'm falling in love. The cities are crumbling, facades are not new, oceans are boiling, I look at you. Dust catches in my throat, but you whisper the sweetest things. And all is silence, all is silence, all is silence soon. And all is silence, all is silence when I look at you. The clubs are closing,
searching for summer to call their own, a place to belong. And all is silence, all is silence, all is silence too. And all is silence, all is silence when I look at you. We run green fields in our minds, laugh about cheap thrills that we left behind. Or maybe we'll cry. Will we be left behind? And all is silence, all is silence, all is silence too. And all is silence, all is silence when I look at you. Thank you.
That's yours anyway, I think. Maybe like you, I probably won't need the mic. Can you all hear me okay? Yeah, because it's nice and intimate in here. That was just phenomenal, really. So moved, I can hardly speak. Could you tell us a little bit about how you wrote that song and the themes and the background?
So I was reading quite a lot of Margaret Atwood. Has people read any of her stuff or watched The Handmaid's Tale? My brother's laughing. We're both obsessed. We just buy each other her books for Christmas. We like buy them back and forth each year. So I was reading, she's got this great trilogy called Oryx and Crake, which is all about kind of an imagined, I got really obsessed with this imagined apocalypse kind of thing, which is funny but also possible, so it's a bit scary. But yeah, I was just reading a lot of stuff about this and just kind of exploring the idea of there being no, the album as well, when I created that, I collected a lot of like sounds of now, like animals and birds and electronic sounds and things, and I just imagined this world where you're not hearing all those things anymore, where, what would it be like if there was a world where, you know, all the clubs, all the places you go to, they're all closed and everything's sort of, the civilization as we know it is kind of not there. Not to be too like doomsday, but I think it's important to really think about the fact that that could happen, you know, if we don't make changes and stuff. It might not, but it might happen. Yeah. So I was kind of exploring that, but then I was also exploring how when you're feeling really in love, that kind of creates this, it's like this hope as well, this sort of stillness. But it was kind of the back and forth between that, you know, like, I think sometimes it's very easy to get very caught up in all the big stuff and worry about that, but then also it's really important to remember all the small details of our day-to-day lives and the people we care about, but then also sometimes we get so wrapped up in that we then forget about the big picture again, so it's like this kind of back and forth, you know, like, I just think it's interesting, it's a very interesting point to be alive right now. I feel like if everything that I'm hearing in the news and stuff is true, then it sounds like we could be on the brink of a lot of change, potentially. I don't know how everyone else here feels about that. You might just be like, oh my God, she's a bloody doomsdayer, shut up. Hopefully other people are feeling the same stuff. And it just seems like it's a weird time, I think, to be alive right now. It's very interesting. And I've been thinking about it a lot, to the point where I have to make an album about it, sort of obsessing about it all.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it feels really relevant at the moment.
Yeah.
Especially some of the images that we're seeing in the media of like empty streets and all the rest of it. I really felt that in
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's what's going to happen or not. What do you think?
Well, I think sometimes as artists we have to be creative with our fear.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it eats you up.
Exactly, yeah.
And maybe there's a bit of that too. I don't know. It's like we need to do something with that energy.
Exactly, yeah.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Should we hear another one? Yeah. Shall we hear another one?
Cool, I'm going to do another. I was going to do this with some loops, but the bass line sounds a bit like a fart at the moment, so I'm not going to... It's a style, it's a kind of a genre, fart pop. This one's called Make the Trade.
We are children, children of me of now, children of the future we wait for. I see a light has gone out, I see a light has gone out, out. Fathers burn the pages, forsake us with no before. Greed moves quick, snapped your stain like grip, eats knowledge of the ages. May the trade, may the trade, paint your roots with gold as mysteries unfold. May the trade, may the trade, may the trade. We take from ourselves what's ours, what has been ours. We take from ourselves what's ours, what has been ours. What have you learned this far? Was it worth your time? What have you earned this far? Was it worth your time? May the trade, may the trade, paint your roots with gold as mysteries unfold. May the trade, may the trade, may the trade. May the trade, may the trade.
Thank you for doing the lights. They're all being magically done in between each song. Yeah, stunning, really beautiful.
Thank you.
Before you tell us about the meaning of the song, I was listening and I just was like, I wanted to ask you how you got into music. Like, what were you like as a child? What were you interested
Weird.
in? Your brother's here, so maybe we get some secondary evidence as well.
Weird.
Like, when did you know that music was your calling?
So, I really like that question because I feel like so often you as a creative as well, I don't know if you feel this way, but I feel like so often it's like this myth that when you're creative, you're just born, like people say, oh, I was just born singing, I was just born, maybe some people are, I wasn't, I was born shouting and running around and covered in mud, basically. So, I don't know, I feel like actually, for me, music, like, it's something I've always loved. I used to sing in a jazz band when I was younger, when I was a teenager, and I was always, like, I was a very creative child, so I was always, like, creating something. I love projects, I think, has always been a thing that I love. So I was, like, making weird things out of stuff in the garden, or creating this or creating that, or I made, like, radio podcasts on my little thing at home and stuff like this, like, always just making things. And then I was always scribbling. I think as a teenager I was quite angsty, so I was always like scribbling down poetry and ideas, and I actually went into acting first of all. I went to drama school and trained to be an actor, and I really enjoyed that, but it felt like, I always say acting's like a gateway drug for me. It was like, I wanted to do something creative, but I hadn't quite found my own voice. So I did acting, because that way I could be creative and sort of, I guess, serve other people's voices. And then whilst I was doing that, I picked up learning ukulele and writing my own stuff, and I was like, oh, this is it. This is like, this is amazing. And this, like, acting was always very about the external and getting validation, whereas music, it's lovely to come and to have, it's amazing to have people come and watch me and to share it, but if you weren't here, I'd still be like in my room doing it anyway, so that's how I knew that this was like the thing that I wanted to do. So it's just, for me, it's like a form of expression, and so I learned ukulele, and then as I was doing a little bit, I sort of taught myself to produce and play other instruments, so I always feel like I'm a bit of a hack job, just sort of like picking stuff up and trying to learn it and trying to play it and do it my own weird little way. But I kind of like that, because I think sometimes there's this, I don't know, I think sometimes creativity can feel like this big, overwhelming thing that you either do or you don't. I think actually everyone's very creative, and there's no, like, it's not like something you're just born doing. Some people are, but I think you can come into it at any time and always be evolving and learning new stuff.
Oh, that's super interesting.
Yeah.
And do you want to tell us about the song?
Yeah, Make the Trade. So I guess it's about, I like watching documentaries about aliens. It's not about aliens, this is a segue. And like, there's all these mad conspiracy theories about aliens. It's not about this, but I'll get there. Aliens and the ancient Egyptians and all this kind of stuff. And then I also went to South America, and I found loads of interesting stuff out about the Inca culture and things. And I feel like sometimes there's this like ancient wisdom almost that we're kind of lacking in modern Western life. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like a lot of cultures, and we have that actually, we have paganism, but that's been wiped out because there was a, you know, holding the church kind of like wiping that out and dismantling it, which, you know, is okay, but kind of wiped out a lot of our heritage, our roots in England and Scotland and Wales and Ireland. So I think it's about kind of, it's not about them wiping that out, but it's about like looking at the way that we're living now. And I feel like we kind of lost, for all this sort of gain that we've got of these comfortable lives, we've kind of lost something sometimes, you know, and that it's not our fault, it's literally been, all this ancient knowledge has been kind of wiped out. And actually it feels sad, and like we should be able to tap into this, and maybe we'd be making better decisions if we had access to more of this, these ideas and stuff, you know.
Yeah. Sounds like you got really inspired.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
I'm aware of time, so I'm going to keep my questions for the next little slot. What are you going to play us next?
Do you want me to do two, or do you want me to do...
Are we okay for
Just
time?
going to check the time.
You're okay, yeah? All right, I'll do one. So I'm going to do one more on uke, and then I'm going to do a little keys one after.
My universe has grown. The roses have their thorns as I pause, and on the road it whispers, you're not alone. We're not alone. We're not alone. This time we're not alone. The earth feels quite flat, but it's not. We're sure of that. I feel my soul has come back from a different dimension, though I can't prove that. We're not alone. We're not alone this time. We're not alone. Oh, 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 universe has grown, waiting for me, all alone. I look with child's eyes, see it all. It whispers, you're not alone. We're not alone. We're not alone. This time we're not alone. Oh, 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 oh. I'll do another one.
So I'm going to bring in some nice little bass lines. Whoa. Too excited by bass.
So many unknown, they live there, lift on the veil. The stars are laid out for you. Deep purple velvet, the stars are laid out for you. Tracing paper melts as I breathe in. Lift on the veil. The stars are laid out for you. Deep purple velvet. The stars are laid out for you. I follow jasmine, that heady sound. She danced in the breeze, and I knew what she meant. Lift on the veil. The stars are laid out for you. Deep purple velvet. The stars are laid out for you. Oh, 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 oh. Thank you.
I hope you're all thinking of a question or two, because it will be your turn soon to ask.
You have an amazing voice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's really powerful being this close, isn't it? I don't know how everybody else is feeling, but I'm really feeling quite moved by the whole experience, being so close to you while you're performing. Thank you. I wanted to unpack a little bit how you make music. Not just like the nitty-gritty, but does the lyric come first? Does the melody come first? Or do you need to be with a certain notebook and a certain pen? Or what's your routine? Or you don't have one, you know, like just take us into your world. Take us into your world.
So I kind of just, I scribble down stuff all the time. So I've always got like, on my phone, loads of like weird recordings of me like, meh.
The voice memo.
Yeah,
oh, that's so good, that voice memo.
Yeah, I think lots of people use that. And then, yeah, like that, or like scribbling stuff, like always scribbling down my notepad. And then quite often I'll just, it's more like when I get a feeling, there's like a feeling, or there's like a kind of, I don't know, it's like this little like, I don't know, tension. I'm like, oh, I feel like this thing, and I need to, and that's when I sit down and I just tiddle about on my ukulele normally, sometimes keys, but normally uke's what I've always written on. And then, yeah, I kind of like just mess around for a bit, and sometimes I just find a melody or like a few chords that I like, and sometimes a song just comes and it just, I mean, I'm sure as you know as a musician as well, sometimes it just rolls out and sometimes you get a little bit, but I try not to be too like precious about it and just think like whatever, I'll just write down and kind of stop when it feels like I need to stop, or sometimes I'll try and push it a bit further, but I just think I can never be like, and today I'm going to write a song. I can never work like that. It's more like just when I get the feeling of it, and then I just have to kind of grab it, basically, like when I feel that. I don't know what that is, that feeling. It's like a, so if I've had a shitty day, or if I had a good day, or like anything random that you kind of get this little emotion, yeah, and you just need to do something with it, so you like, that's when I write, basically. How about you? What's your...
Gosh.
So Rosanne is a musician, I know.
Yes. I'll be here on the 20th. I think that's a really good question, but tonight's about you, so I'll keep it short.
I'm trying to get out of it.
I have to have a notebook with me at all times, and I tend to like get quite panicky if it's not close enough.
Yeah.
Because there's got to be one under the bed, one on the kitchen table, one, you know, there's got to be notebooks around.
Yeah.
Voice memo on the phone. Generally, it's a feeling, like you said, and it's about following that feeling. But related to the question about you is, do you feel like your songs come out whole, or they come in fragments and then you're sculpting from there, or do they sometimes just come whole? Like when do you know it's done?
Sometimes, a bit of both. Like some songs, like there's a few that I'm writing at the moment. There's one that I like, just the verse popped out, the first verse has popped out. And then I had another bit of something else, and I was like, oh, actually, that feels like that. Now that's the chorus for that. So now I know the first verse, the kind of chorus, and I know that I just need to write some lyrics and stuff for another verse, and then do that. And so I kind of feel like once you've got that, like, it's like getting the main chunk of the song. I think once you've got that, sometimes the whole song, you sit down and the whole song just appears. But sometimes it's like, I feel like you get little chunks, and I'm like, cool, okay, I've got this bit and this bit and this bit. And then on another day, I'm going to write another bit, and that's going to kind of come together. But I feel like it depends where I'm at as well. So because I tend to write and create the songs, and then I produce them later. And when I'm in that producer headspace, I don't find that I write that much, actually. Because then my head's really just obsessed about sounds, and it's like almost like my brain sort of switches into, like, that's where the creativity goes. So then when I'm producing all the sound around it, the songwriting doesn't seem to happen so much, but then once I stop, like now I produce the album, I've been rehearsing with the band, now the songs are starting to come again, and then when I start writing, then I feel like it gets quicker and quicker, and they kind of just come out, yeah. Sort of shift into different gears, I think.
Super interesting.
Do you know what else? Does it give you energy to do creating, or does it take your energy to create?
I think songwriting, gives energy. I love songwriting so much. Producing does as well, but producing, I mean, some of my mates have seen me after a day of that, I'm like, sometimes, yeah. At the start it gives energy, but I think maybe it's just a longer process. At the start it gives me energy, and then after, like, I get obsessed, and after like 6 hours of staring at a screen solid, probably because I haven't eaten, is probably like the problem, really. Then I feel a bit like, oh, but songwriting I feel like gives me energy. Whenever I love that. I'm really excited now because I've produced the album and made it, and we're starting to gig, and now I've got like a bit more space, hopefully soon, opening up to start, and headspace to start writing, and it's a really exciting bit. And I feel like it makes me appreciate my life more when I'm songwriting, because I actually, rather than being stressed about all the things I've got to do, which I'm guilty of doing, it like helps me to if I'm writing about what I'm experiencing, I'm kind of a bit more present with it as well, I think. And I'm like, oh wow, this thing. So it's quite a nice. Do you?
Do this floggy colours and scribbling.
Yeah.
I like the fact that you give yourself permission to be who you are and say what you want to say. I like that.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's important too, isn't it? Go a bit mad otherwise, I think. That's important too. Does anyone else want to ask?
Well, I mean, I think songwriters do with conflict. You can't write a song about someone else. You've got to fight with it. It's a struggle, you know.
Who's your inspiration?
What, as in like other artists, or as in?
Yeah.
I get more for songwriting. I love Laura Marling's amazing. I listen to her quite a lot. For production, there's loads. Like James Blake, I love him. I love Sylvan Esso, they're amazing. FK Twigs. I listen to, when I'm going into production mode, I'm really like, I make big playlists of people as like my reference tracks that I listen to and like build. Rosie Lowe's amazing, actually, she as well. She'd check her out. No.
Oh, you haven't? That's my reference point for you.
Is it?
You must check them out.
What are they called?
Oh, all right, check them out. Waitress of the Beat.
Waitress of the Beat. Okay, cool.
Pretty soon.
Thank you. Yeah, I need to like any new song recommendations.
Got that
Cool.
freshness.
Thank you. Yeah.
I think we've got time before the break to have.
Yeah, one more. Yeah.
And then opening up some more questions.
Cool.
Bring the lights up after this.
So this is one that I've. Oh, hang on, I don't the wrong one. Sorry. I'm going to just chat and fill whilst I open the right session. So this is one that I've actually been performing live solo for a little while. It's the only one that I've performed live solo out of the album. But now we're doing it differently as a band. But so it's nice to kind of to do it again. So it's called Sounds of Rayanne. This one. And it's it's about has anyone been to, it's a you've probably not been, it's tiny, a little town called Rayanne in France. It's like in South France, it's like a mountain town, it's beautiful. So this song I wrote whilst I was there with my uncle for a week or so. Yeah, so my tourist recommendation. I wrote actually when I was on that same trip to France, I was writing a few other songs. And I thought it was kind of interesting to try and like write songs about all the places I went to, but they didn't all make it into the album. But it was kind of fun to try and like to write about all the different places anyway and see if it sounded like the place basically. But yeah.
Church bells ring, we don't mind. And I hold on to stone cold walls, they soothe my heart, and I don't mind at all.
Sample the applause. So, over to you guys. Does anyone have, we've had some questions already, but does anyone have any burning questions they'd like to ask? Emily, yes.
Hi.
I just got a sense that there was a kind of African rhythm taken out last one with the African band. Am I imagining it?
I don't know. There could be. I literally just make it. I don't know like where it all comes from. I didn't find an African rhythm and put it on there purposefully. I listen to kind of all sorts of music, and I think that like Afrobeat and loads of African music has influenced so much, loads of like electronic stuff that I listen to, and it's like really woven into loads of stuff. So maybe that could be where it came from, perhaps. Yeah, it's really cool, but it's really cool how, I don't know, I like to try and create interesting rhythms and like ones that aren't just like, 2/4 or kind of like, so maybe it's, yeah, I just think it's cool to play with, and that's a fun thing about like creating drum parts electronically when you produce, that you can create all sorts of interesting rhythms and stuff and really play around and spent ages trying different stuff. Like on some of the other tracks that are produced, I got like a sound of a singing bowl, this Tibetan singing bowl, and then I found there was like some little kind of rhythm you could hear in the background, so then I like whacked that frequency up and then created like another little part that fit, that like made it louder and stuff. So there's loads of like, I don't know, I think it's kind of cool to collect sounds from around the world, and it kind of fits with the feel of the album, I think, to collect sounds from all over, because it's about being alive now, I guess. But I hadn't consciously, but that's cool to hear that. It's like, oh, cool, maybe it did like seep into my consciousness somehow or something, I don't know.
Is Magpie on your real solo?
No, it's not.
Your eclectic nature of picking things up.
Exactly, that's exactly it. And also, funnily enough, my real name is Spetch, my surname, which is originally Flemish and would have been specht originally, which means woodpecker. So it's like another bird. But yeah, this is fun.
Well, I've got loads of questions. Go for it.
I saw online that you're doing something with trees at a concert.
Oh yes.
What's this?
Thank you, my plant.
I was just going to ask you about your launch. That was perfect.
So tonight has been like, and I'll do after the break, I'm going to share some of my old solo live sets, so much more beats and upbeat and stuff. But what I was showing in the first half, the more acoustic, stripped back stuff, are songs that now I'm doing with a full band, which is going to be the new kind of thing that I'm doing, still with some loops, but full band. And what we're doing is we're doing our big launch 17th of April at the Loco Club. So if you like the songs that you've heard today, go on my Facebook page or Instagram, whatever, and you'll find the event. And we're going to fill the Loco Club with 200 sapling trees and loads of other green stuff, and build a forest inside the Loco Club, basically. And with each ticket sold, so I've got 200 tickets, so each ticket sold, you get a tree, and then you get to plant it afterwards. So because the whole album's about climate change and nature and connections, so yeah, if you want to then plant a tree after, you can. Yeah, so please come to that. The tickets are on Head First. You can find the link online.
17th of April,
yeah.
Tattooed onto us.
Yeah.
That's just beautiful with the trees, but also that idea that once the trees leave the space, there's an echo, right? Because didn't the Loco Club used to be...
Yeah, it's an old ash pit tunnel where the trains used to dump their ash. So I kind of thought it was beautiful to like turn some ash pits into a forest, and then when we take everything out again, it becomes, it's when everyone takes what's theirs, what's left is just some empty ash pits. So I kind of like the metaphor of that as well. And then hopefully, it's nice to when you're a musician do something that's not about you and like, oh, look at me and my music. Like you're actually doing something bigger than that as well. It's nice too.
Yeah, beautiful. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I want a tree as well.
They're going to be they're like literally like we're going to make it.
I was
like
going to ask how big are they?
So they're going to. No. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to do half of them can go to gardens, and then so if people want to take them to the garden they can, and then half we're going to do a big planting day with Bristol City Council in November, and a nursery will take them till then. So then if you want to keep your tree, we can, and then we can plant it in November, and you can come and plant it in November. So that way it's accessible for everyone, whether or not you've got a garden, because not everyone does in Bristol.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, exciting. Can't wait. I had one more question before. Does anyone else have any more questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
When you're writing lyrics, do you find them easier to write using metaphors, or is it easier to write directly exactly what you mean, or is it sometimes too raw to say things?
Yeah.
So you have to often not using metaphors all the time.
Yeah, I think I write in a more abstract way. I think I never want to be like too, especially because this album, especially because it's all about these things that I find really important. I don't want to be too like didactic and like, you should do this, right? Like, I think it's a bit rubbish. So I kind of like to keep it a bit more broad and let people interpret it for themselves, do you know what I mean? Even though I've just explained literally everything that I'm giving you any space to interpret it. But I think it's nice to do that with art, not to like just tell people. But then direct songwriting can be like lush as well. I think sometimes direct is really nice too. It's just the way that I tend to write. I kind of it's imagery and stuff, I guess. Yeah.
Can I ask my question?
Yeah.
Unless somebody else. I'm just so impressed by everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
It's just really mind-blowing. It's incredible. And actually, if you have a look on the other side on the laptop, all the stuff that she's got programmed up, this stuff is hard. Did you teach yourself?
Yeah.
Did you go on courses? Like, for anybody in the audience who's thinking, I want to learn how to do that, like, how did you do it?
I just learned from, I had, I downloaded Ableton, and then I had a friend who was a producer who taught me. I learnt through producing first, so I had a friend who was a producer who taught me, but I always knew I wanted to use it for a live set, so he taught me how to use it, like the basics, when I produced my first EP, and I just learnt through doing it basically, so each EP sort of sounds like someone learning to produce using Ableton. Hopefully it's improved. And then, yeah, I just asked friends who used it, and like watched YouTube tutorials are like the one. I've learned so much from YouTube. It's been like my main production teacher. But then there's really great, I was chatting earlier about Saffron Records, who are a Bristol collective, are amazing at doing loads of like getting, especially women, into tech and exploring stuff. So check them out. There's courses that they run, and there's loads of courses around for Ableton and stuff that I've seen. And if I did it again now, I probably would do a course maybe to like, I did one short course in Leeds, like a week or 2 week residency I won a place on, and they taught me a bit more about it too. But yeah, just through YouTube mostly. So you don't need, it's free to do it really.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Should we take a quick break then, everyone, and be back here by 9:05 if you can? That'd be brilliant.
Cool.
Okay.
I'm gonna do more loopy stuff then, yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello again.
So I'm going to do a bit more of kind of my usual setup, well, my previous usual setup, which involves more beats and bass and tings. Yar. So, pirate music. So this one's called Ghost, and it's from my first EP. God, really old. Yeah, and it's about coming into contact with a part of yourself that you've not seen for a while.
And while I'm trying to make sense weird playing this, like, I've been practicing so much with the band. It feels funny playing this stuff again. It's nice. Cool, this is Last Train. So I'm here again. I promise the last time will be the last time, my friend. And I'm breathing salties. You're leaving. You're leaving me, leaving me, leaving me. As I look under the curtain, hush, hold my hand. Don't be frightened, your mind's reeling, can't fight the feeling. I'm feeling me, me, feeling me, me, I'm feeling me. Hey, we're going out tonight, head fuck, hands clasped tight. My heart's the last train, but I don't refrain. My heart's the last train. 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 Cool. It's really interesting revisiting old stuff, like, yeah, it's really interesting. After like talking about the new album so much and playing all that and then coming back to this, it's kind of interesting to see what I was writing about a couple of years ago. It's a really like different kind of experience actually. But this is called Things I Do, and it's about a very short-lived summer romance. Cynical laugh over there. I had a few, but it's more about I don't know. Just I think it's quite nice as a woman to write a song about just enjoying something for what it is. Yeah, I'm going to not explain the song before I play it. This is Things I Do. Thank you so much, and thank you to Roxana for being an amazing host tonight as well. I've had a beautiful time with all of you, and thank you all for coming. I'm going to do one last song for you before I go, which has got some of that going on. Oh yeah.
And you could do signed.
Oh yeah. I'm really bad at promoting. I've got some CDs over there. They're the last, that's all that exists of my previous EPs. And they're £5. And I'm going to get all the album printed after that. So if you want an EP, I'm not sure if I'm going to print them again for a while, so it's your last chance to get them. That's literally what's left. I'm not just putting them there and pretending. So thank you so much for coming, and thank you to Listening Room for having me. Yeah, I hope to see you at the gig in April if you want to come as well. Thank you. And this is a cover. You win something if you guess what it is. I don't know what. Witcher.